Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Tuesday Night Yoga. So let's go ahead and get started right away in kneeling seated or just normal seated position, whatever feels most comfortable. I am just seated with my feet next to each other, hips over my heels. If that's ever too much for you, you can always come to seated cross-legged or seated with legs out. But go ahead and settle in right away. Maybe if you have a block or a bolster, you'd like to sit on it. And find a nice grounded seat and just check back in with your body. Right away, think about having a neutral pelvis and think about sinking the very bottom center of your pelvis down into the mat, creating a nice foundation for our entire spine. And out of that beautiful pelvic foundation, just notice your spine lifting right up towards the sky. Natural curves of the spine back and forth and back. While the top of our head reaches towards the ceiling. Wonderful. And right away, let's tap into our breath. Taking deep, even inhales and exhales. Inhaling through our nose. Feeling this expansive breath, like we're expanding in all directions, up, down, left to right, front to back. And as you exhale, feeling the energy, pull all the way back to the center line of the body. Down, up, front and back, left to right, everything coming back to a center point. Inhale, deep, expansive breath, expanding 360 degrees, all directions. Exhale, feel that energy evenly, gently pulling back to a center point. Let's call this belly bonfire breath. Inhale, stoke that inner fire belly, inner belly fire, expansive breath. And as you exhale, think about dimming the light a little bit, everything pulling back to the center. Take one more deep, expansive belly bonfire breath. Exhale, everything pulling back to a center point just behind your belly button. Allow your breath to return to normal. If our eyes have closed, we can gently flutter our eyelashes open. Let's interlace our 8 main fingers, our fingers together, and reach the backs of our hands forwards. Already starting to arch the shoulders back, feel the stretch. Now, as you inhale, flip the palms away from you. And let's pull our pinkies to the sky. Starting to get into the shoulders, open up the chest, feel the left and right sides of your body expanding. And then as you exhale, flip the palms back towards you. Let the pinky sink down until arms are parallel to the earth. Stretch the shoulders. All right, that's the flow. Inhale, flip the palms, lift the pinkies towards the ceiling, stretch both up and across the front of the body. And exhale, stretch those shoulders back behind you, reach the arms forward, gaze into your palms. Inhale, flip the grip. Lift those hands to the ceiling, broaden across the collarbones, broaden across the soft part of the belly, and exhale, reach those shoulders back. Let's take 2 more. Your own breath, really feeling into this movement, opening up the front side of the body, and exhaling to stretch behind the shoulder blades. Tonight's class will focus on the front and upper body. Let's think about that for a second. Exhale, let your hands drop all the way down. Maybe palms come out to the sides, just relaxing there. And think about being broad across your collarbones. Think about having a long neck, sides of the neck long, very tops of the shoulders sinking down and off to the left and right. And let's just start to breathe. Notice our body. Notice the feeling of your face, the front of your throat, our chest, belly, front of the pelvis, tops of the thighs, fronts of the shins, tops of the feet. All things we can picture because everything except for our face are all things that we can see. Take a deep breath, imagining these parts of your body, lighting them up. Good. Exhale, sigh it out your mouth. Let's open our eyes. Inhale, let's reach our arms tall to the sky. As we exhale, let the left hand sink back down. Reach that right hand up and over, side bending over to the left, stretching the right side of the body. Feeling the right side of the body actually almost lifting to the right, stretching the intercostal muscles nice and wide. Take another deep breath here. Exhale, reach a little farther. Inhale, reach everything nice and tall. Broad collarbones, arms are like a perpendicular equal sign. Exhale, let's take our left hand up and over. Right hand gently rests next to our hips, maybe on the mat. Let's stretch the whole left side of our body. Left side of the body actually reaching up and to the left, stretching the left side muscles in between the rib cage. Left fingertips reaching up and over. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, stretch a little bit farther. Very good. Inhale, let's reach everything up nice and tall. Oh, such good synchronicity. Exhale, let's let our hands come down in a low V. Keep that chest lifted, broad across the collarbones, long sides of the neck. Take an inhale, lift the heart, point your tail at the ground. Exhale, let's twist. Right hand to left knee, left hand sits behind you. Turn and look behind you, over your shoulders. Feel the twist in your neck. Think about broadening across the front of your body and then come back to center on an inhale. Arms stay down and low, this nice low V, broad chest. And as you exhale, twist to the other side. Opening up the whole front side of the body to the right side of the room, left shoulder forward, turn and look behind you, over your right shoulder. Use your eyesight, keep sitting up nice and tall. Let's do that once more. We come back to the center on your inhale. And as you exhale, twist all the way over to the side. Think about squaring your shoulders to the left side of the room. And then turning and looking behind you over your left shoulder. Long sides of the neck, no hunching our shoulders, everything long, sitting up nice and tall. And on your next inhale, we come back to the center, arms nice and long, like we're stretching the inside elbows of our arms to turn and twist last side. Like we're turning our body to face the side of the room, but we forgot to move our legs. And now we turn and look behind us. Deep breathing, nice and steady. And on your inhale, let's come back to center. Take a deep breath. Maybe hands come to low belly. Try to breathe into your palms in your very low belly. Cool. Hands are going to come down to the mat in front of us. We're just going to press up and find all fours, hands and knees, tabletop position. Right away, hands underneath the shoulders, knees directly underneath the hip points. Femur bones are parallel to one another, maybe not as wide as we think. Go ahead and find Hasta Bandha hand grip and think about lengthening your spine in both directions. We want a long spine so that way we can think about the front of the body. And when we think about the front of the body, we want to be in a position where it's like we're standing up. That's sort of how the whole torso and face are hanging in space. So that means face is looking directly down at the mat. Throat is open. We are broad across our collarbones and our chest, not collapsing down, not arching anything up, nice and broad like we're standing up. Our belly is loose and maybe, just maybe, jutting the tiniest bit forward. And the pelvic bowl, the face of our pelvis, is pointing straight down at the mat. Good. Just finding good alignment, just teaching our body how to hang out. I'll turn to face you. Let's take an inhale. Reach your left arm out directly to the left for thread the needle. Look at that space between your right wrist and right knee. That's the eye of the needle. As you exhale, take that left hand, slide it behind the right wrist, thread the needle. Lengthen your left arm as far as you can, coming to lay down on top of that arm. Left ear rests on the mat. Full thread the needle. So hips stay nice and high. We're laying our left shoulder down on the mat, stretching through the shoulders, the left side of the neck. Right hand can remain where it is, right next to the face. Or you can start to slide your hand forward, starting to get a side body stretch here. Or maybe even reach the right hand to the ceiling, starting to twist the body, breathing here. Last variation is to bend the right elbow and tuck it just on the inner left thigh, thinking about stacking the shoulders on top of one another, breathing here. Excellent. Let's take our right hands back to where they were, right next to our face. Press into that right palm, coming all the way back up to tabletop. Left arm swings out to the side and finds its proper place in tabletop again. Find your tabletop and let's switch sides. Inhale, let's reach that right arm out to the right. And as you exhale, right hand slides behind the left wrist, thread the needle, laying down on that right shoulder, right ear, sinks to the mat. Hips stay nice and high, tail stays lifted for thread the needle. We can keep this left hand right by our face, or we can reach it out far in front of us, starting to stretch the side body. Or we can start to open the front of the body by reaching that left hand tall to the ceiling, thinking about stacking the left shoulder right up, just on top of the right, same line. Maybe even taking a half bind, bending that left elbow. Wherever we are, breathe into the shoulders. Think about gently, very gently broadening across the collarbones, not forcing anything, just keeping everything nice and long. Take one more breath here. Good. On an exhale, let's take that left hand, plant it right in front of your face, press into your left hand, and let's reach that right arm out to the side. Find tabletop position. Keep your hips high, and we sink down to puppy pose. Forearms come out in front of us. We put our weight in our forearms and our elbows, and we start to walk our hands forward while we sink our chin and heart to the mat, like a puppy wagging its tail, asking us to play, starting to open deeply through not just the shoulders, but underneath our armpits and our lower pecs, right in the middle front of our rib cage, opening up this part of our body, breathing here. Maybe our face is looking straight down into the mat, giving the back of our neck a lot of room, a lot of length. Or maybe we have our chin out on the mat, looking forward, stretching more into our shoulders. Take another deep breath in puppy pose. As you inhale, let's press into those palms. Start to sink the hips towards the mat. Let's come down to laying down on our bellies, prone position. Let's untuck our toes.
Hands are going to come wide to a sort of goal post position. So tops of the arms are straight out from the shoulders and forearms point straight ahead. Go ahead and sink your nose and forehead to the mat. Bring your big toes together and press the tops of your feet into the ground. So the back of our body is gently engaging. So we can feel the front of our body long and on the mat. Take a deep breath. And as you inhale, think about lifting your heart, peeling your heart off the mat, looking forward just enough to come up to a wide-armed sphinx. And as you exhale, just flow that right back down. Just moving from the center, upper part of the spine. As you inhale, reach out of the low back, peel your heart off the mat, put some weight into your palms, just look straight ahead, broad collarbones. And as you exhale, flow your wide arm sphinx all the way back down. Again, as you inhale, peel that heart off the mat, press into those palms, long spine, maybe gaze forward. Exhale, come all the way back down. Now we're going to take our elbows immediately underneath our shoulders, so forearms immediately out in front of us, and we're going to inhale to full sphinx pose. So for full sphinx, again, our elbows are directly underneath our shoulders. That means our inner arms are touching our torso, the sides of our body. Our fingertips are wide on the mat, and we're using our hands. They're not lazy, or they're not doing nothing. From there, our heart reaches forward. Our collarbones are broad, and we think about having a long left and right side of our throat. Make sure that the spine is long in both directions. We're not kinking the low back. The low back is nice and long by pressing the front of the pelvis gently down. Take another inhale. It's okay if you notice maybe your feet widen or come together a little bit. Maybe this changes the lower body, but think about broadening across the front, breathing steady, no kinking, no pain, just everything long. Good, and as you exhale, let's relax a little bit down into the pose, relax the muscles. Inhale, press all the way back up to tabletop. Nice. Let's take a child's pose. Big toes come together. Knees can be wide or close together, yogi's choice. And sink the hips back towards the heels. Let's keep our arms nice and long. Let the forehead and nose gently relax on the mat. Take a deep breath here. Deep, expansive inhale. Feel your energy, your breath expanding in every single direction like a ball. And as you exhale, think about that energy coming back to its center point, its point of origin, everything coming back to the center. Very good. As you inhale, put some weight into your hands. Let's go ahead and press ourselves forward, coming into a plank pose. So knees are going to come underneath the hips again. We're going to walk our hands a little more forward from tabletop position. And let's go ahead right away and find your plank. So you can be in knees down plank, in which case you're going to make sure that your tailbone to the top of your head are what's long here. It's no longer in tabletop. We're going to sink those hips down and think kind of like Sphinx pose, broadening across the collarbones. If we're in high plank, you're going to tuck your toes and think about lengthening the back of your legs while pointing your tailbone towards your heels. The other version of this is we can always come to a forearm plank. Pick your version of your plank, and wherever we are, check your Hasta Bandha, your hand grip. Take a deep inhale. Gaze at your hands. Very good, very good. Keep breathing here. Maybe stay here. Maybe work on breathing through your plank, or maybe take left hand to right shoulder, like a mini side plank, left hand down. Take that right hand to left shoulder. Opposite shoulder touches. Again, option to stay still in plank or just start to challenge your balance, noticing what it feels like to tilt the body weight from hand to hand, Side of the body from side to side, always an option to come down to forearm plank, but breathing here, focusing here, gazing at one point about 3 feet in front of you. On an inhale, find your plank again. Find your focus. Take a deep breath. On an exhale, sink your knees to the mat. Walk your hands back to seated. Find hero's pose. Kneeling seated. You did it. Take a deep breath. Feel the front of your throat nice and broad, nice and wide. Collarbones open, chest open, heart gently lifted, not kinking the back, but just proud, alive. Take another deep breath, maybe even close your eyes. Just feel it in your body, how yummy it feels to breathe after some annoying exertion that someone made you do. And let's take our hands to the mat. Find tabletop, lies. Walk your hands back. One good twist to even out our shoulders. So right away, take your hands behind you, interlace all 10 fingers together, webbing to webbing grip, and take your fists to your tailbone. Right away, lift that heart and point your tailbone down. And as you exhale, let's take both fists towards our left hip and gaze over your left shoulder. Keep the elbows in, getting into the sides of the neck, outsides of the shoulder, breathing here to feel the twist. Let's come back to center. On an inhale. And as you exhale, let's take those fists to the opposite hip. Look over that same shoulder. Keep the elbows close together towards the center line of the body. Feel the shoulder opening. Allow the twist. Take another breath. And we come back to center on an inhale. Now we can let go of the hands. We can find our tabletop position. And let's find downward facing dog. When you're ready, from tabletop, we walk our hands out about a whole palm print a little further forward. Grip back down through all 10 fingers and tuck the toes. Right away, we want to lengthen the spine before anything else. Grab the mat and now press into the hands and feet. As you exhale, lift your hips. All right, everyone find their downward facing dog, maybe taking some steps, maybe starting to bend the knees and ankles. Take a deep breath. And now, on your inhale, I want you to really press into your palms, grip the mat with your fingertips, and bend your knees a little bit. Just see what that feels like to bend the knees. Now we're starting to lengthen the fronts of the calves, fronts of the quads. Maybe even hover the knees over the mat. Weird. All right, inhale, lengthen the back of the legs again. Find your downward facing dog. Wonderful. Start to shift your gaze towards your thumbs. Stay here, tuck that belly button towards your spine. And maybe as you exhale, take a pike push-up. Just think about doing a downward facing dog push-up, just one, even if it's just in your head. Elbows out, elbows in. Just feeling out the front of our body, different things we can do. Take a deep breath. Exhale, let it out. All right, that's about enough on our wrists. So let's inhale, lift that right heel high. And as you exhale, step that right foot forward. Let your left knee sink down to the mat. And then bring that right foot forward so that right knee is right over that right ankle. So we're in this low lunge. We can untuck that back left foot. We want to be in a spot where we feel a nice amount of stretch in that left front hip, but we don't want to be too far out or too crunched up. Find a good foundation where your right toes are pointed forward, your left toes are pointed back. And as you inhale, you can either walk your hands up your right thigh, or you can lift your hands all the way to the ceiling. Both hips in one line facing the front of your mat, broad across the collarbones, biceps frame the ears. Maybe we inhale, gaze towards our thumbs, challenge your balance. And as you exhale, bend both elbows down for half angel. Inhale, reach those palms tall. Exhale, bend both elbows down halfway, lift the heart. Good, reach those arms tall one more time. Feel your body hanging in space. And as you exhale, windmill the hands down, frame that front right foot, very good. Tuck the back toes, lengthen that leg and step that right foot back all the way back to downward facing dog. Stretch out the back of your legs. Invitation to take a vinyasa if you want and meet us in the next pose. But everyone take a deep breath. And when you're ready, let's lift that left heel to the sky. Keep both hip points pointed down. And as you exhale, step that left foot forward. Find a low lunge. Right knee sinks to the mat. Left knee stacks over that left ankle. Top of the right foot presses down. We lengthen our spine, tailbone down, top of the head high. Inhale, either walk your hands up your thigh or reach your hands towards the ceiling. Left foot strong on the mat. Top of the right foot pressing down. Both hips pointed towards the front of the mat. Tail points down. Biceps frame the ears. Inhale, maybe we look towards the ceiling. Exhale, bend both elbows. Lift the heart, half angel. Inhale, palms or fingertips reach for the ceiling, palms face each other. And as you exhale, half angel once more. Lift the heart, broad across the side of your neck. Inhale, feel yourself hanging in space, good for the spine. Exhale, hands frame the front foot. Tuck those back toes, press into the foot and hands. Find your downward facing dog. Pause here for a few breaths or invitation to take your vinyasa. If we're still in down dog, inhale as you press into your hands, grip the mat with your fingertips. Exhale, lift your tail high. Keep easing that heart towards the mat. Think about having a broad chest, broad shoulders. Very good. As you inhale, let's just shift our eyesight towards our thumbs. Prepare your body to move and exhale first. Then start to shift your weight forward, taking as many steps as you need to, bending your knees as much as you need to find yourself in forward fold. Allow yourself to ragdoll here, maybe reaching for opposite elbows, hips over our ankles, eyes open, gazing between the kneecaps so we don't get dizzy. Thinking about the front of our body, let's take a look at the tops of our feet. Noticing these long, thin bones that give us balance and agility. The fronts of our calves, our kneecaps that we can lift up and down as we engage our legs, the fronts of our thighs, our quadricep muscles, everything stacking perfectly to hold us up. Take one more deep breath. As you exhale, let go of the arms, maybe bend the knees. And as we inhale, let's just roll up one vertebrae at a time, feeling the front of your body unfurl like a flag. Tailbone points down so the front of our hips is nice and broad. Belly is nice and open. Collar bones are broad. Throat is open. Face is relaxed. Top of the head reaches tall for the ceiling. Mountain pose. Take a deep breath. If Ujjayi breath is in your practice, tap into that Ujjayi breath, victorious breath. And on an inhale, reach those arms tall towards the ceiling. Press those feet down. Exhale, half angel. Bend your elbows down halfway. Lift your heart. Sides of the throat, nice and wide. Inhale, reach those arms tall. Tail points down. Exhale again. Bend the elbows, half angel. Sides of the body are broad. Throat is broad on the left and right. Feel your body opening like wings. Exhale, let your hands release to your sides. Ground your feet back down, tap back into your breath. Take a deep breath. All right, let's step our feet apart, about 3 feet or so, setting up for goddess pose. So in terms of how far we want our feet to go, the farthest is heels can be underneath our wrists, just like in Da Vinci's Perfect Man. That's about as far as we want to go in this position. If that's a little much for us, definitely are able to take our feet a little more narrow. But go ahead and start to point your toes out, heels in. If anyone was a dancer, now is the time to show off your turnout. Check it out. If you weren't, don't sweat it. And right away, take your attention to your front body, the left and right sides of your body. Just by having our feet this way, to stay standing in this position, we almost have to think about the left and right sides of our thighs reaching out to the left and right so we don't put too much pressure on the knees. From here, let's reach our arms out to the side. Take an inhale. If it feels okay in the shoulders, reach the hands up to the corners of the room, lift the heart while the tail points down. Star pose. Maybe even give yourself like a little bow forward, take a slight back bend. And as you exhale, bend both the elbows and the knees. Find goddess pose. Very good, but let's flow that. Let's not be crazy about the knees. Inhale, find your star. Let it be nice and easy so you can exhale right back into a goddess. Knees bending, elbows bending, flow it again. Reach everything long and star. Exhale, broad across the hips. Collar bones are nice and open. Let's hang out here in our goddess pose. Feel your feet sink down. Looks good. Think about your tailbone pointing straight down. If we had a tail, it'd be just hanging out straight down. Shoulders stack over the hips, no leaning forward. Sides of the throat are broad. We're breathing steady. As you exhale, let's let our hands relax on the tops of our thighs, a little bit behind our knees. Take another inhale, root that tail down. Exhale, take that right shoulder forward. Look behind you, over your left shoulder. Feel the twist. Flow that. Inhale back to center, sides of the neck nice and long. Exhale, left shoulder forward. Look behind you, over the right shoulder. Should feel good. Inhale back to center. Sides of the neck broad, no hiking up the shoulders. Exhale and twist. Inhale to center. Exhale and twist. Let's do it again. When you come back to center, think about being like a turtle poking its head out of its shell. We're not hanging out. We're long. We want to see what's happening so we can twist and see a little farther behind us. Last inhale to center. Last exhale to twist. All right, look how long we stayed in goddess pose. Inhale all the way back up to star. Let everything relax to the center. Now exhale, arms come down to the side. We're gonna point our toes forward. We're gonna stay in this wide-legged stance. We're going to point our toes so they're facing the direction we're looking at. If this hurts your knees or low back at all, it's okay to either point your toes a little bit out or just take a bend in your knees. But ideally, we want toes pointed forward. Right away, let's again stand strong in our feet, feeling our sides, our thighs, the sides of our body, almost reaching out to the left and right. Find a strong stance in this position. Very good. As you exhale, take your hands to your tailbone, interlace all 10 fingers together. Press your fists down. Inhale to lift the heart. As you exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips. If there's any weird feelings in our knees or back, just bend your knees. That's totally fine. Wide-legged forward fold. Reach those fists towards the ceiling. Or maybe just let the edge of the fist feel like they're gonna come and pound on the floor right behind your head, opening up through the back of the neck, tops of the shoulders. If our legs are straight, think about getting that tailbone high, like you're trying to put a butt print on the ceiling. Breathing here, keep your eyes open so you don't get dizzy. One more deep breath. So good. As you exhale, bend the elbows, take your fist to your tailbone and reach them behind you. Keep that torso nice and long. Inhale, let's halfway lift. Very good. As you exhale, let's take our hands to our hips, bend our knees as much as you need to. Final inhale, sink that tailbone down, top of the head points to the sky. Very, very good. All right, we're gonna point our feet back towards the front of our mat, whatever direction that is for us. If we're feeling a little dizzy, allow your body to find equilibrium before launching off our foot. But as soon as we're pointing the direction we want to go, just think about stepping off the back foot. Just step off that back foot, step it to meet the front. Find mountain pose. Relax into your heels so the whole front side of your body can feel like it's opening, broadening, lengthening, top to bottom, side to side. Everything nice and broad, nice and open, like a big inhale. And then take one of those beautiful, deep, big inhales. Very good. On your next inhale, let's sweep the arms towards the sky. Gaze towards your thumbs, tail points down. Exhale, forward fold. Hinge at the hips, fold all the way down. Inhale, lift up halfway. Heart lifts away from the tailbone. And as you exhale, plant your hands on the mat, step back, find your plank. Again, we have high plank. You may do knees down plank, and you always have the option to take forearm plank if that's easier on the wrists. Yogi's choice, but wherever we are, Hasta Bandha grip, hand grip is engaged, fingers are spread wide, fingertips gripping down. Think about being broad across those collarbones, just like in those other poses. Think about having a broad side body, like with all those side bends we did. Think about the front of your pelvis looking straight down at the mat. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, shift your weight into your right hand onto the edge of your right foot. Come to side plank. Lift the left hand towards the ceiling. Very good. Lift the left hips high. There's always the option to drop the right knee to the mat. Always an option. Otherwise, we're balancing on the edge of the right foot. Maybe we have a left foot somewhere here. Breathing. Think about stacking the left shoulder over the right, broad across those collarbones. One more breath. Exhale, left hand comes all the way back down to plank. Find your plank, take an inhale. Let that go. As you exhale, shift your weight into your left hand. Shift onto the edge of your left foot. Reach your right hand towards the ceiling, right hips high, side plank. Sides of your neck are long, broad across the front body. Option to drop the left knee or to float the right leg. Find your side plank, your side star pose. Take another breath. Feel broad across the front of your body. Let's come back to plank. Take a breath, let it go. And on an exhale, let your knees sink to the mat. Let's come up to seated hero's pose. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, nice and long down your back. Lift the heart, tailbone sinks down. Take a deep breath and sigh it out of your mouth. Good. Marvelous. Let's come up to standing on our knees for a deep, deep front body opener, camel pose. So we'll stand on our knees about 6 inches apart. So 6 inches or so. We want our femur bones to be parallel to one another, which is usually about 2 fist widths apart or so. And we want our feet to be the same width apart. From here, we're not going to worry so much about this pose being a back bend. What I want us to think about is really broadening across the front of the body while our back naturally compresses on itself. All the muscles will be compressing to the center. So right away, just go ahead and press into your knees and think about the tops of your quads elongating and the front of your pelvis getting wide from left to right. Let that front of the pelvis just very gently start to reach forward, already noticing a little movement in the low back. From there, we're going to take our hands to our low back and gently squeeze the elbows together. Now, notice how this broadens us across the sternum, the chest, from left to right. Our heart is open, the front of our hips are open, and maybe, only maybe, if it feels good, we'll take an inhale, lift our gaze to the ceiling. And again, only if it feels good, as you exhale, maybe let the gaze sink behind you. Just letting your head relax back. Our necks are not made to kink though, so only we want to think about lengthening rather through the spine, not kinking any part like a hose. Whole front side of the body, lengthening, 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 top to bottom, left to right. Heart lifts, front of the hips gently ease forward. Gaze lifts, one more breath. As you exhale, gently come all the way back up to standing on your knees. Sink your hips to seated hero pose. Take a deep breath. Very good. Let's come to seated position. Find your lotus style, so seated, cross-legged, or with our legs out. And right away, sit up with your best posture. We've opened a lot through the front of the body. Notice at all if it feels different than from our kneeling seated pose earlier in class. And just find your breath again. And let's continue opening up through the front of the body and the shoulder area. Let's take our hands again to our tailbone, interlacing all 10 fingers together. And right away, before we do anything else, just notice what thumb is on top and switch it. Switch your grip. Give yourself a different way to hold your hands. Let's inhale, lift the heart, press the fists down into the mat behind us. And as you exhale, let's take our fists over to our left hip. Keep the elbows together. And now turn your head and look over your left shoulder. Should be pretty deep stretching on the outside of the right shoulder, maybe even starting to crawl down the right arm. Continue sitting up tall. Continue easing the elbows together and looking and turning over your left shoulder. Breathing steady. Opening through the shoulders, through the arms. Find your victorious breath, your Ujjayi breath. Good. On an inhale, we come back to center. Gaze comes to center. Fists go back towards the tailbone. On an exhale, we take our fists over to our right hip. Elbows stay close together. And we turn and look over our right shoulder. Keep sitting that chest up tall, rooting that tail down. And as you exhale, gently turning to look over your shoulder, using your eyesight to maybe see something new on the wall behind you. Stretching out the left shoulder, breathing steady. Finding that space between effort and ease, steadiness and comfort, tension and relaxation. Take one more breath. Good. We come back to center on an inhale. Exhale, let your hands rest down by your sides, maybe down by your hips. Make sure that you're sitting nice and comfortable. If we need to move around, let it go. And as you inhale, reach your arms out to the side, to the left and right.
Feel the stretch on the insides of your arms, insides of your elbows, all the way out your fingertips. Notice the sides of your neck. Make sure that they're nice and long. Collarbones broad, head reaching up tall. Figure out which one of your hands is your right hand. Don't mix it up. Swing your arms forward, cross your right arm underneath your left. Cross up the elbows. Let's twist up the arms like ropes. You can twist up your arms once, twice, or we can grab for opposite shoulders. We'll get the same benefits either way. Everyone inhale, sit up nice and tall. Drop your eyesight to your elbows. As you exhale, ease those elbows away from your heart, starting to counterbalance a lot of our poses. Now starting to stretch the backside of our body, not making sure we're not doing any one thing too much. But breathing here, deep shoulder opener, eagle arms, steady breath, feel the stretch. On an inhale, reach the arms again out to the left and right. Lift the heart, everything long, left, right, up, down, back to front. Figure out which arm is your left arm. And on an exhale, let's swing that left arm beneath the right, cross at the elbows, twist up the arms once, twice, 3 times if you can. Wherever we land is just fine. As you inhale, drop your eyesight to those elbows. And as you exhale, ease the elbows away from your sternum, away from your heart. Maybe even tucking the chin to the chest to also stretch the back of your neck. Stretching between the shoulder blades, the top of the shoulders, maybe the back of the neck, opening up the joints of the upper body. Breathing steady. Tap back in with your breath. Where do you feel it? Stay present in the room. And on your next inhale, let's let that go. Reach those arms out to the left and right. Maybe be easy about it if that was a doozy. And maybe instead of stretching, just sort of feel like your heart is being pulled forward. Open up through the throat. And exhale, let's relax. Relax the arms completely. Maybe take a gentle sway side to side to let your body go. Let's find laying down on our back. So release the feet so your feet can press into the mat. Go ahead and take a hold of the back of the thighs. You can either just lay down if you're ready for it. Otherwise, we're going to think about engaging the deep abdominals, not just the front of our abdominals, but the whole core. Like all of a sudden, from our pelvis to our head, we just turned into a tree trunk. Again, everything engaged, top to bottom, front to back, left to right. And as you exhale, we're going to use that muscular engagement and roll over that tailbone to very gently roll down one vertebrae at a time, feeling your core do the work until we can lay our shoulders down on the mat, sides of the neck long. Let's feel into bridge as a front body opener. Feet stay on the mat. Let's glide our heels underneath, glide our heels towards our glutes. Feet come hip width apart and should feel like they're parallel from the inside arches. Hands rest, palms face down right by our hips. Before we do anything, feel into your shoulder blade collarbone area. We want to be broad across the collarbones, which might mean our shoulders even lift up a little bit to knit our shoulder blades together on the mat. Inhale, let's lift into the arches of our feet. See if that lifts your hips up off the mat. Just test it out. See how that feels in your back. And as you exhale, go ahead and glide that back down. See if you need to adjust your feet at all. Find your stance for your body. And as you inhale, press into your feet again and press your palms down at the same time. Really think about the fronts of your thighs lifting towards the ceiling. Exhale, let it go again. Hips sink all the way down to the mat. Let everything relax for just a moment. And then inhale, press into your feet, press into your palms, lift the fronts of your thighs high to the ceiling. Keep pressing into those feet. Let's stay here in bridge for a few moments. If this is ever too much, you can just come down out of it a little bit. If it's still too much in the back, just relax with hips down. But if we can stay here, we can do so by continually pressing into the inner arches of the feet. That keeps our knees together. It stops them from kinking out to the side. We're pressing into our palms, and we're now starting to reach the fingers towards our heels. Maybe fingers find each other and we interlace all 10 fingers together, reaching those fists towards our heels, creating a deep heart opener, just like camel pose, letting the belly be wide across the front and soft, letting the heart naturally lift towards the ceiling, getting it over our brains, setting ourselves up in an inversion. Pay attention to your breath. Focus again on the breath. On an exhale, gently let your hips sink down. Roll down one vertebrae at a time. Maybe let your feet go nice and wide on the mat and take both knees over to the right and both over to the left for windshield wipers, taking as many right, left as you need to let go of that low back. And then, as it feels good, go ahead and let your legs lengthen out nice and long, just for a second. Legs long, heels together, toes fall open, hands down by the sides. Take an inhale, feel the whole front side of your body, almost as if you're floating to the surface on water, like we're just floating on our backs. The next time you exhale, let's bend one and then both knees into our body. Give yourself a hug over your shins, compressing the whole front side of the body. We spent all this time opening it, stabilizing it, and now we're compressing it, creating tension so that it can let go, the body can let go. Take another deep breath. Maybe start to sink the back of your shoulder blades, back of your head, back to the mat, and keep those knees into the chest. Wind removing pose for one more breath. Very, very good. Let your arms come out to the side to a T position. If it feels better in your shoulders, you can always take goalpost arms. Let's take an inhale. Start to squeeze those inner thighs together. Gaze towards your kneecaps. And as you exhale, keep both shoulders down on the mat. Let both knees just drift off to the left for a spinal twist. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Wringing out that spine, maybe even looking over your right shoulder, opposite direction of your knees, to really increase that twist, wringing out the spine. If this is too much in the neck, heck, just don't do it. Look up or just look in the same direction of your knees. It's just yoga, but allowing your body to wring itself out, taking a deep breath here. Back of the body is nice and heavy and relaxed on the mat, so the front of the body can compress and move and engage. And on that note, as you inhale, let's squeeze those inner thighs and knees together. Come back to center, rolling over that left love handle. And as you exhale, let the knees drift off to the right. Keep both shoulders down on the mat. Both shoulders stay grounded. Just the knees and hips and spine move. We can look up at the ceiling. You can look over your left shoulder away from your knees now to increase your stretch. Or anywhere along this sort of rainbow-shaped continuum is good. Just feel it out, your neck, your body.
Keep the sides of your neck long though. Shoulders aren't creeping up towards your ears, shoulders away from the ears. Letting your body twist, letting it open up. Always returning to your breath. On an inhale, let's take knees, inner thighs together. Come all the way back to center. Feel rolling over your right love handle. It should feel a little bit like a back massage. Maybe give yourself one more hug over those shins just to compress one more time. Feel the tension in the front side body. Take an inhale. Exhale, relax everything all the way down to Shavasana. Whole front side of the body relaxing down. If you have any blankets or pillows or blocks you want to place under your knees or over your body or under your low back, now's the time to get one. Set up for your Shavasana. I'm going to put a bolster under my knees. And when you're comfortable, return to your breathing. Whatever makes sense to you. If that means just to pay attention to it at all, we have to count it, that's fine. Just count your breath. If you're more of a feeling type of learner, maybe you like to notice where you feel it in your body. Maybe at your nostrils, maybe in your low belly as you try to take deeper and deeper belly breaths. Maybe you just like to listen to the sound of it. Noticing how it very much does sound like water lapping on a shoreline. Hard to tell when the waves crest and fall. Whatever your mechanism of focus is, embrace it, use it as a tool, and take a moment to notice one more really deep breath. As we start to focus on the feelings in our face, let's notice our foreheads. And go ahead and see if you can relax your forehead. Relax the space between your eyebrows, erasing any worry lines, any stress, any tension at all. And with that, we can now relax our eyes inside of our eye sockets, our cheekbones, helping us open up the sinus cavity, getting rid of the tension here, relaxing our lips, the tongue inside of our mouths, and our entire jawline. No clenching of the teeth, everything relaxed. So that now we can open the throat and breathe deeply again with a completely relaxed and tranquil face. Notice the front side of your body, starting with the area right where your throat meets your torso, right along the collarbones. Feel where the muscles start, where we connect to the other parts of the body. Just see if we can relax this whole space, collarbones, pecs, everything relaxing, releasing. Whole belly, chest, nice and open. And just noticing your body. Some days will feel better than others. Sometimes if we don't like
taking our energy to this area, it will feel kind of icky. So only going as far as feels good. And if that just means just sort of scanning over our body quickly, that'd be okay. But if we can dive deep into these areas, I say go for it. So if you can really take your attention into the soft part of your belly, right where your rib cage ends, really dive deep and think about this part of our belly widening to the left and right, opening up, the area around the navel relaxing off to the left and right, not hanging on. And same with the very low front part of our trunk, the low pelvis, just letting it be broad across from left to right, top to bottom, nice and soft, the way it's supposed to be. And crawl your awareness down the front of your thighs. Make sure that they're nice and relaxed. We don't need to engage them. They can be heavy, no hanging on. And let's slide that awareness over our kneecaps and down our calves, into the fronts of our ankles, tops of our feet, and toes. Take a deep breath, really starting to feel that whole front side of the body, just nice and relaxed and open, while the whole back side of the body is just naturally supporting us, holding everything up. Breathe into this feeling for a few more moments. And ever so slowly, begin to lengthen your inhales. Allow some gentle movement back into your fingertips and toes. And as it feels right, gently press yourself up all the way back to a seated position in the center of your mat. And when you get to your comfortable seat, right away, find a position where you feel like your pelvis is grounded and neutral. And let that part of your body sink down, forming a nice strong foundation for your spine to lift up. Think about having long sides of the neck, long tops of the shoulders, hands resting in our lap. And together, let's just take one really deep inhale and exhale to close class. Let's start by exhaling out everything we have out of our mouth. Seal the lips, inhale through your nose. Exhale evenly and calmly. Good. Allow your breath to return to normal. Namaste. Nice job, everyone.